sarcasm guaranteed. Energy Torque.
Ha. Hello.
Ha ha ha. Do you see me at all or no?
No, I do not. I'm just going to get rid of my note taker as well.
Why is now it doesn't want to turn on my camera? What does it say?
Yeah. It obviously knows you too well.
Maybe I have to do like, okay, let me also join here on the, maybe I need, no, I have to restart or something. I don't want to do that now. So let me also do this. Hang on.
Have you changed platforms out of interest? Because I had this problem a lot this year, much more than before. Hello.
No sound. Let's see. Is it okay now?
Testing. Blah blah blah. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
So at least you see me there. Okay.
I can. Yes, in full color.
So, how's it going? I mean, you.
That's even better.
Even better, yes. Okay.
It's not quite 4K, but it's it's good enough.
It's
good enough. I can't quite see every wrinkle, but it's good enough.
Fish and chips. The news brought to you by David Phillips.
So let's go with a news section, David. And I mean, it's fabulous to work in CCS. First of all, we're approaching summer, and of course, there's a lot of music festivals. So it's a busy summer with all these, let's say, music festivals. So I mean, how many projects for capturing CO2 do we need to capture all of them, in a sense? If you think about the music festivals, what they emit, and maybe not just CO2, but CCS in general, I think, yes, we do capture something. You can, we get some type of investor enthusiasm, and definitely we get government subsidies. So we do capture a lot, yes, I would say, and some headlines. And I think CCS or carbon capture, I mean, it's dramatic. I mean, if we would think about this in a Netflix category, maybe we could pitch something to them with, let's say, CCS, the techno-optimism, tragedy, and tax credits.
It could be quite a long series, though. I mean, that's just not one series. That's series 1, series 2, series 3, probably 8 episodes each. That's a big commitment.
Oh yes, and that, and it's a big commitment. And of course, I think your idea with multiple series is good too, because something we are good at increasing or capturing is more and more acronyms. So I mean,
yes,
series
absolutely.
1. So that will just.
Well, is that all the other routes? If we don't go for the Netflix series, it's the Lord of the Rings route. We have a trilogy of, and they all last hours, right? This is not a short series. This is not a short series of films. They're all very long films. There's a big lead up, very complicated, and then just when people think they understand it, you then put another one out that lasts 4 hours that actually comes before the first one, just to really make sure what. So there's a lot to play around with.
Exactly.
But no, I think there's a lot going on. I mean, you're right. It's a slow burn, this industry, but but there's a lot going on. I mean, next week in London is London Climate Action Week. Talking of acronyms, LCAW, and I seem to be lucky enough to go to a lot of things during LCAW. But my main concern, or let's say opportunity, risk, whatever the appropriate word is, will I come away as enthusiastic after a few days of LCAW events, as I was when I came out of the massive Biennale art exhibition in Venice last month, which was is an enormous contemporary art thing.
The Creative Corner.
Mostly completely crazy. I didn't understand any of it, but you come away quite enthused and creative and all the rest of it. Will I feel the same after the London Climate Week next week? I don't know. There's a lot of CDR, a lot of removal discussions, a lot of financing and insurance discussions. Maybe we could sort of take a second to look at that. I mean, this year, in the last few months, so I've been spending a bit more time with some startups in the capture space, and most of them, of course, want to raise money for various reasons, for pilot plant or demo or whatever. And you look at the whole financing spectrum. There's been some good success. The ENI CCS Holdings business closed on its 500 million capital raise. Amazing achievement, and that's done. You've seen nearly $1 billion of commitments for Frontier around carbon removals in the new fund. So there's more activity there. It's not dead. It's not dead. But then in the middle, it is dead. I mean, it's tumbleweed country. It's like an old cowboy film in the middle. Nothing happening. It's really hard to raise money until you get to the young bits. So the venture cap side is actually quite active. Now, maybe it's not as active as it was 1 year, 2 years ago, but there's quite a lot of activity around technologies that have maybe some nearer term payback, and even some of the, as they say, Hail Mary technologies, where you have a completely different direct ocean capture or completely different direct air capture technology.
Yeah,
and the idea being that it's going to take 7 or 8 years to see if it works. But if it works, then the option value is tremendous.
Sure. But look, I mean, isn't it fantastic? These tech giants, the Google and Anthropic, Frontier, etc., and all their friends. I mean, they decide at least that if you can't fix the climate, you can at least throw a lot of money on it for someone else to fix it. So I think that indicates two things at least. The climate change is serious, and the techies, they do anything to avoid doing anything with their own emissions as such. Wonderful, yes. Wonderful. So, and I think, I hope, let's say, with your view there next week in this LWASCCVR, whatever.
Just call it London Climate Week, much easier. Okay. It's in London. Okay. It lasts a week and it's about climate. London Climate Week. Yeah. There we go.
So, I mean, I hope, let's say, I mean, yes. Isn't it a bit, let's say, CCS, and I mean, we do use of and we do really emit confidence. That's what I think. Yeah.
You know what I quite like about the discussions right now. I mean, I know it's easy to draw out lots of examples of why things are slow and issues with money at government level and all that sort of stuff. But when you look at who the people are turning up, it's not just you and me. It's also now we see the insurance industry is appearing in quite I would say, quite prolific way, and a lot of different events. And maybe the insurance industry is quite new to this, but the fact they are looking at carbon capture and making a point of being part of the dialogue and discussion is quite encouraging. It tells you that they see a real opportunity, and they're positioning themselves for industry that what was that soundbite all those years ago? By 2040 or 50 or something, carbon capture could be the same size as the natural gas industry is today. So they're positioning now for what could be a very big industry in the decades to come.
Yeah. But isn't that what the scientists are doing? With the new modeling, they're really showing that that the carbon capture or the removal of CO2 will be in a level of gigatons by 2050, assuming unlimited funding, unlimited energy, unlimited political will, and this mild miracle. And we have the primates and the prime ministers just going for this. So I think it's wonderful.
Yes. Exactly. Although I think, I don't know, maybe I should look outside the UK to have a bit more enthusiasm about the political direction. Because the UK, as you know, at the moment has let's just put it politely, a number of moving parts around who will be doing what, who will be deciding what in the months and years to come. But anyway, that's a different discussion. And even starting to discuss that will take up all this discussion. So.
Yeah. I mean, you can get into the lesser things. I mean, even anywhere, I mean, if it's UK or EU or national governments, I mean, they put out that, let's say, we're going to launch this project or this subsidy scheme for anything with CDR, CCS, CCU, and critics then coming back and, I mean, asking, will this really work? And you typically get this from politicians and governments say, yes, please define work.
Yeah, exactly. And you have that there was that famous phrase about, if you put a comment out to someone saying this carbon capture plant doesn't work properly because of these reasons, even if you're entirely wrong and it's made up and out of context, and then the industry, then you and I and all our colleagues have to spend an order of magnitude greater time to defend the view to say why it does work. So it's that thing about being first is a great trick. Get your view out there first and say, there could be some concerns around this. Then you spend a year arguing about the concerns rather than doing anything real. But what I think often is misunderstood. I mean, I spend all my time with finance people and investors and so on. And what is interesting is that the interest is real. I mean, there's plenty of money. There's good interest in playing the green transition theme in many areas. The challenge is, as you know, money isn't free anymore. Maybe free 5 years ago, but it's not free anymore. And there's in tremendous competition from other industries, including, talking of acronyms, AI. And we're in this phase now where to be an early investor in technology or to be an early backer of data centers is just the question. And the sense I get from talking to funds that are, let's say, look at everything, that's a real challenge, because they have a real they're time poor in terms of how much time they can really spend to understand CCS or understand removals, unless they understand it already. So it's there's a competitive threat. Yeah, that will change. I'm sure it'll change in the medium term. But for right now, there's a timing.
And you talk about, I mean, you say that, I mean, a bit back, let's say the venture capital investments, startups, etc. Maybe it's less now. Do we see a downturn or what's happening? But isn't this about, let's say, they are not shrinking. They're just becoming more, or the whole industry becoming more aerodynamic. We hit some turbulence. Yeah. We just see how we can fly up again and as such, and accept the laws of thermodynamics around this.
Yes.
For the business.
Exactly. I mean, I'm going to one event in the London Climate Week. I'm going to is an investor focused one, looking at all the flows of, let's say, ESG, and maybe the different acronyms you use these days, but let's say sustainability related capital, and all the noise about that being a thing of the past. Actually, the flows have increased, and it's quite a step higher last year on 24 and now on 25. So in the background, the funds have been moving in the right direction. It's just that they get overshadowed by other stories.
Yeah. But I mean, you're an I'm shifting angle here a bit, David. I mean, you're also an art guy, I would say. I mean, with all your hobby studies and visits to, I mean, very fancy festivals or exhibitions and things like that. So and we most recently, of course, a great artist. Passed away from this earthly life, David Hockney.
Yep.
But what do you think about him, by the way?
So he's actually not one I've not looked at too much. It's quite a different style. It's a very, as some of the critics say, if you're let's say new to modern ways of painting, his style is quite easy to look at. It doesn't involve a lot of sort of what on earth is that supposed to be type discussions and analysis, which people, what is it? It doesn't involve the long look. So you can glance at it and you typically see what it is. You may not see all the details and the other messages in it and the story behind it and what he's really trying to say. But he's a very approachable version. And heaven knows that a lot of, mine's my Venice trip, there's a lot of stuff there which is from a similar era that is very hard for someone who's not really in it to understand, I think. I mean, it may look colourful, but other than that, a lot of it is really hard to understand. Whereas his, I think, is whether it's the images, it's the colour matching, they're very, I would say, very digestible images and works. But I'm not an expert on him.
No. But there we go. Maybe, sometimes art can bring something to policymakers, to our industry in CCS. I mean, if we want some new perspectives and clarity on it, I mean, he's one who clearly new perspectives and bring clarity to it, and maybe to paint it differently. And I don't mean that we should do spreadsheets with oil paintings, but maybe in a view that, let's say, why do we have everything? I mean, carbon capture plants and infrastructure. It's always gray and steel, gray cement, gray steel. Why don't we take the joy from David Hockney? I mean, bring in the pink, bring in the yellow, and fill your pools, not with water, but CO2.
Yeah. Well, you see a little bit, I mean, on a very minor scale. You see some of this with some of the waste to energy plants, right? You already have that type of industrial, what would you say, industrial feng shui or something, where you make a plant that will be inside is an industrial beast, but because it's near people for municipal reasons, you make it look nice, like they do in Denmark. We have like grass on top, and it looks like a living building almost. But within it, it's a fully functional industrial facility. Something around that is interesting, I think. But yeah, I get you absolutely. Color schemes on carbon capture plants could be the way forward.
CCS, colorful carbon
Or
support,
CCCS, colorful carbon capture and storage. Yeah.
Yes. So there we go.
A new
Now we
acronym.
have a new acronym.
Yes,
Wow.
exactly.
I mean, we're capturing even more now. So
Yes.
that's good. The colorful schemes here. So that's I think that's already an achievement in itself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yes. Anything else on events or headlines, David? You have experience lately?
There's been I haven't been to some of them myself. I think maybe you have. There's been quite a good run of the sort of biogenic CO2 related events in the last few months, particularly around the Nordics and Northern Europe. There's been quite a lot of good meetings quite recently, actually, in London and elsewhere around storage. So I would say that the community around this whole industry is still very active. Maybe it's discussing the same themes a little bit in more detail, and maybe having a few more honest discussions as to where some of the challenges lie and why things haven't moved as fast and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, then of course, now I'm coming over to your side of the North Sea in August for the ONS. So lucky enough to be involved in that, in the Zero Markets part of that whole enormous show. So is it Monday the 24th of August and Tuesday 25th?
Yes.
Lots
I
of
will see you there.
chaos in Stavanger. Exactly.
Yeah, that's a nice thing. I mean, so we get kind of the great Norwegian carbon bake-off then for those days.
Yes, exactly.
In a sense,
carbon bake-off. Sure, he won't mind saying this, but some of my old colleagues from Arca, who are now part of SLB Capturi, they actually did have a bake-off recently. I'm still not entirely sure what the ultimate ambition was, but I saw some photos. They were in their HQ in Oslo, in Fornebu, doing a bake-off in person, and I yet to work out whether they were baking cakes or bread or what, but time will tell.
Yeah. I mean, and of course, Denmark had their bake-off very recently on the CCUS.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
As such, so I think that's.
Were you surprised by that? I mean, it made a lot of headlines, but I mean, I get the sense that everyone expected Aalborg Portland cement to come charging through, but were you surprised by any details around it or anything else?
Yeah, I mean, of course, I could get a bit serious here, but of course, it's first of all, it's a kind of try to compete on who can decarbonize on government budgets, but
yes,
it didn't result in very much as such. Of course, there's maybe there was last year went from this. Maybe this enthusiasm and a cocktail of engineering excellence, strategic optimism,
yes,
and then solving Denmark's problems or issues, and then deflating completely to, let's say, I think it got underbaked finally, the whole CCS round. Yeah. But I do hear that, let's say, I don't think any of the geist from the Nordics and the Danish companies disappeared. It's more to kind of in a Silicon Valley mindset. I mean, for infrastructure, it's really to, let's say, what do we learn from this experience? How do we pick ourselves up? Let's do a third round and let's do a new series, a new bake-off as such. So I think it's coming back.
Yes.
There's definitely more Danish hygge around. So let's see where we are at later this year.
Right enough. Okay. And also some new for Norway, right? There was in Norway a new scheme has been talked about just recently in the last few weeks.
Yeah. So what's good now is that, let's say, there was a complete, not an ignorance, but I think, David, it was more that, we did the wrong ship. We don't need to do other ships or boats or anything floating as such.
Yes.
But then of course industry said that, hey, come on, we've enabled something fantastic and fabulous with a long ship. However, how do we get more emitters on board? And do we need to build all the infrastructure by ourselves or independently, which results in higher costs? So
yes,
Enova launched this, let's say, the CO2 terminal support scheme.
Yep.
Of course, still they took a technology choice or solutions choice by saying it needs to be truckable.
Yes.
And not, let's say, agnostic, but okay, I think it's still lacking. So, I mean, the ships we do have, so let's see if we can get the trucks on board here too, on this journey.
Exactly. Yeah, on that whole value chain, I do find it, I guess, slightly amusing. On if you look at some of the comments on LinkedIn, and there's a lot of good material on LinkedIn in terms of detailed discussions and, let's say, people's personal thoughts or whatever. But sometimes you see these things saying, we've done some work and we realize that the bottleneck to CCS in Europe is, then you insert either the word storage or capture.
Of course. I mean, we can joke about it. I mean, what does a month in numbers bring from CCS?
Yes.
It's mostly, it's like,
definitely.
yes, there's X amount of government strategies or policies, a variety of think tanks reporting, and then an infinite number of LinkedIn postings as such. So
exactly, it's definitely exponential.
Oh yes. But of course, we still emit that confidence and ready to capture more acronyms, and not just that, but of course carbon along the way. Yes, I would say. All right. What else can we do? We have inefficient ships, by the way, but that is the news. Maybe we blend in that. We have the yes.
Had a bit of an art discussion. There's we discussed a little bit of technology stuff. I think one area that I'm spending a bit more time on, as I said, is really the newer technology side. So, without saying who they are, but some companies that have technologies that are not too far removed from what's been installed in the market already, but offer certain obvious differences like zero emission, lower energy, etc. Without breaking any laws of thermodynamics, as you point out. These are not wild claims that something is half the cost, but they're just better and a little bit better, cheaper and safer. And I quite enjoy spending time with those to help them think about how to approach, let's say, pilots and which industrial partners to have. And I think that area, it's good to see that the enthusiasm in the industry is still very much there, even if people are getting a little bit politely impatient to see steps taken, but the enthusiasm is there.
Oh yeah, I mean, maybe I've been a bit, let's say, having had a sarcastic tone today, but of course I'm dead serious about decarbonization, and that's really my whole aim for the future to contribute in that. And I think what's going on, of course, is that building infrastructure and transforming our societies takes time. Definitely. Yes. I mean, it's not like we just consult an chat GPT or Copilot and we have the answer in seconds, and then we have it all measured out actually, and that contributes to carbon emissions actually every time we use those services, but means that we have an even bigger purpose or urgency to action. But it will come, and I think all the capabilities, how we have a dialogue in the ecosystem are key. But it's not like it's also 2025, 26, or 2030 or 2035. It's an ongoing effort.
Yes,
maybe. And we have time to paint a lot of pictures about this and be creative. I mean, we have to be creative to make it happen too. I mean, be solid or rigid, but also find that agility and collaborate to get there. So maybe at some point when we meet up, we could do a painting, a modernistic painting together.
Modern painting. That's I mean, you could just simply get piece of white paper and cut it in the middle, and that there you have your an old employer of mine, without saying which one it is, does have one of those on the in the executive level, just a canvas of one color with a big tear in it, and the whole point is obviously to get people to look at it, saying what's happened to that. He's like, that's intentional.
David, you're far too influenced by Venice now. I can hear that.
So. That particular example is much nearer where you're sitting, my friend.
Okay. Yeah. But no, I know there were some spectacular things in Venice too. But okay, that's we don't need to go into the depth of those things there.
That's a rabbit hole that you might not come out of in time.
No, exactly. So we have to dig some other rabbit holes probably then.
Yes.
What's
the next in terms of next rabbit holes then? So what about in our world of colourful CCS? What is the next step? I mean, what are the next big events What are the next big projects we're looking at? You know, we've heard from Denmark now. UK is sort of doing UK stuff and getting on with projects. But where's the next new one coming? Is there anything else in Scandinavia? I guess there's the new Norwegian stuff. There's Norwegian funding. Germany.
I talked about one funding scheme in Norway. Of course, there's also the hearing for the, let's say, carbon capture subsidy scheme, which will be then, let's say, hearing now, and then supposed to go into the government proposition for the national budget for 27, and then hopefully ratify this autumn. So that means hopefully it gets, let's say, in that shape that it's actually attractive for companies to apply and do firm bids for it. So I think I would anticipate 27. Yes, we should see Norway storming forward again. Sweden, of course, have their second run ongoing, but I fear it's going to be a bit like the Danish Bake Off. So let's see.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
I should remember this. But what are the timelines around Sweden? Is that later this year or 2027? Or?
Due date is in August, so just after vacations or end of vacations. So, but let's see how many are going to apply. We will know that for sure. When they publish how that process is moving forward.
Yeah.
But no, I think we just have to stay determined and hopeful and push for this on both our sides. To move it forward.
Meanwhile, elsewhere in the world, there's been some good noise. I mean, Asia has done a lot of work, or at least Southeast Asia has done a lot of work around which storage sites could make sense in terms of building a cross-border storage network. US, despite all the noise from the top, appears to have moved, let's say not stopped funding for certain projects. Canada maybe is a bright spot in the Western world. I mean, clearly the government there is, it's not new, but they're quite pro-CCS, and they're clearly supporting, another wave of projects to come through. So yeah, there's certainly activity there.
Yeah. No, of course. So it's, I think it's, let's say, various regions, of course, I mean, they have their own policy schemes and how it works.
Yes.
But of course, I think we as Europeans just have to ensure that, let's continue on this track and build the uniqueness and the whole value chains and capabilities, because I do believe, end of the day, yes, there's been a lot of focus on CCS, the storage, treating carbon as waste and something we have to get rid of. But also, I believe we need to complement this or make it complementary with the CCU, the usage. Carbon is a resource. It can be utilized as a feedstock for a variety of products and materials. So I think that track is also going to be vital and important.
Yes.
So it's not just CCS, but also CCU. Yeah.
No, I agree. I mean, the CCU has always been, it's been sort of the smaller cousin or the younger cousin in many ways. And It's always had a challenge for some products. If you think about a major product like a line of chemicals or plastics or something from the CCU, it's just challenging because the market doesn't exist yet. So it's hard to get an offtake, a view on the offtake. Having said that, there are lots of examples where you can do it on a smaller scale and sell it into a merchant market. Then you're doing maybe 10, 20, 30, 40, 50,000 tons a year of CO2. You're not doing 500 or a million, but you are starting out and you're showing it works at a decent commercial scale. And you're able to sell it in the market and not disrupt the market too much. So,
and of course we have to understand too that CCS, that's a climate initiative.
yes,
in that way, and CCU is different. So I mean, but it's to utilize it. And of course, if we have like the scheme on CO2 terminals, and if you're pooling or gathering CO2 from a variety of emitters, and you know, suddenly you have access to CO2 that can be, if you don't want it in your David Hockney pool, of course, but you can either store it or you can procure it to actually utilize it at some point. So, and it's like you say, the market is not there yet. It will take time also, but there's some good initiatives and ambitions around this.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think, where do we stand then, David, if we wrap this up? I mean, isn't, let's say, the carbon capture, that's an industry where success is measured with negative numbers. We have an invisible product. And one of our biggest competitors, I think it's physics really, and chemistry. But I don't cry every night over that. I think I'm still pushing forward.
Yes, absolutely. Let's see what comes out of the London Climate Week next week.
Looking forward to that, David.
Yes, good stuff.
Energy torque. Energy torque.